Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my reaction after just seeing the mid-season premiere for The Walking Dead Season 8. Oh man, so I wasn't going to do a reaction video for this one because just kind of based on what we saw going on, I didn't think it would be necessary to go ahead and do. But I decided, let's do that. So spoiler warning if you haven't seen the episode yet. This is by far the saddest episode The Walking Dead has ever had, but enjoyable one as well too because it's quite the tearjerker, and I won't lie, I did cry a few times throughout watching this episode. If you're a hardcore fan of The Walking Dead, if you've been watching it since the first season of the series, that's like 8 years we spent with these characters. Carl's in from the very beginning, and it's just so much of a concentration of the series. Rick's relationship with Carl and some of the saddest parts of this episode, man, really got me for sure. And you guys can certainly write the comments below on which scenes for you really got you, man. But for me, I mean, the last one near the end there, there's. Except for, okay, we'll get to the one, but Negan just, like, out of nowhere, like, what is he doing? What is he doing here? Smile lighting up a room. So, but, the part where Rick says, I love you, well, Carl says he loves Michonne, he loves Rick, he loves his dad, and when Rick says back to him that I love you too, Carl, or I love you, Carl, I'll make it real. So that oh man, this is so sad. Some of the other parts as well too for me when Carl calls Michonne his best friend. That one's just a minute. Really sad. So really sad stuff. So some of the saddest scenes in the whole series, and I would say that after 100 episodes, it's going to be difficult for them to kind of trump a lot of the things they've done in the past before for The Walking Dead. Up until now, I'd say probably the saddest episode in the series, or some of the saddest moments in the series, would be like when Lori dies and Carl has to do it, and then Rick finds out about it afterwards at the prison. That was one of the saddest parts of the series. Andrea's death was super sad. After Glenn's death, seeing Maggie's reaction was super sad. But I think, and Tyrese's episode too, as well as many others, throughout the series. But I think we can say pretty easily that this one surpasses all of those in terms of emotion, I think. At least for me, I can't speak on behalf of you guys, but for me, for sure. This one, was the most I haven't cried as much for any episode of The Walking Dead than this one. But to brighten up my day, in the last scene, so we had the dream sequences. It kind of, I'll make it real, Carl, and kind of the dreams as they go through. And then all of a sudden, Negan just shows up. The dreams at the end. He's like all smiling and stuff. Oh, man. JD, is he not the goddamn perfect cast for Negan, man? I mean, that smile is killer, right? That's a killer Negan smile for sure. That's even better than the comic book, Negan smiles that Charlie Adler has to draw, because Judith goes up to him, it's like, what is he there? What is he there? So that was funny though. So at least, it has a lot of the sad parts in the episode, of course, too. A lot of it's sad, but it had a good mix of some levity in there as well too with the dreams, and I think that they really made a good choice to have kind of the future dreams kind of mixed in here, as you see kind of Negan, good morning to you, all right, so you darling. So that was really funny when you see that. You kind of run up to him, it's like Uncle Negan or something. It's hilarious. So there's that one. I mean, what else of the Carl stuff? I mean, there's so many lines. We'll go into the review, and it'll probably be really detailed for this one. We'll go through like every line in the episode and give our thoughts on each one. But just as an initial reaction after just seeing the episode, saddest episode ever. Some bright stuff there too, and I really love the aha moment that I got watching this one, where we finally get to understand those dream sequences that were shown in the first half of The Walking Dead Season 8. And I think it just made it, just brilliant here that it's not a flash forward sequence like we all thought it was going to be. It's more of like a dream sequence that Carl is having, but it's not, Rick's dream. It's actually Carl's dream, which is really, really cool. So I just really like that aha moment when we kind of all figured that out, and you have Rick that says that he'll make it real. So also I'm kind of like wondering how people are feeling about them killing off Carl now that we got to see this episode. You know, there was obviously a lot of people really upset about Carl being killed off after the mid-season finale for The Walking Dead, and really questioning, you know, whether or not it's worth it for the series. But I think they did it in this episode after seeing it in such a way that it was so brilliantly done. It was so emotional. It was so impactful to see that at this point, I think it was a good decision, actually. This episode was so good, it actually was able to turn me here. It was able to change my mind about this one. Whereas before, I was like, oh, I want to see Carl be the same version as the comic version of Carl, because they're so different from the TV series. But after seeing this episode, it's kind of like, this episode it was so brilliant the way they did it, in that it's not like he's really convincing Rick, telling Rick, don't do that, do this instead, you know, like in an authoritarian type of way, like telling his dad, don't do this, do that, you know, don't kill them all, Dad, or this kind of thing, and trying to force him not to do it. But it's kind of like he passes on a dream to Rick, so that now it sort of becomes Rick's dream and Rick's obligation to make it real, as well as for Siddiq, kind of really leveling him up as a character, whereas before, you know, he's a new character, but really people just would not have cared about him at all. To really, you know, having them want to honor Carl and honor what Carl wanted and would have wanted, you know, after seeing this. It just fits so well, that the question of whether or not to kill, what to do in this type of a situation, which we also saw played off really nicely in the other part, where you have Morgan cleaning house, which, you know, gave us a nice mix in the episode where it added in a lot of the other stuff that was happening and at the kingdom, to give us some action and to give us some explosions and gunfights and some guts, which we'll get into in the review, because that was freaking awesome. You know, blood on his hands. So really looking forward to seeing Morgan switch from The Walking Dead into where is he? There he is. Fear the Walking Dead. You know, especially now that he's got so much blood on his hands, you know, proverbially, but also literally, because he just rips the freaking guy's guts out. Give me your intestines, you know, rips them through. So it was gory and awesome at the same time, right? So, and then Henry comes out of nowhere. It's like, hey, I'm going to be the Carl 2.0, the comic Carl that never was. And you're going to love it, because I'm set up to be a super badass. I'm still young enough to be creepy as hell. And Chandler Riggs is too old to really fit that part. So I feel like there's so many things I was questioning going into this episode. Like, what are they doing with the show? Does it make sense? All this kind of stuff. And they just totally just killed it this episode. They killed it. They just put everything back in perspective. And they executed it with such, you know, perfection, that it just made all these things kind of make sense. And, you know, got that emotional tie with me, especially as a viewer, and I'm sure for a lot of you guys too. And really, you know, I think it's going to help the series. I really don't think it's going to hurt the series. So we'll do the full-length review. My initial reaction, though, number one, saddest episode ever. Some pretty sweet action, gutsy sequences, and, you know, some things here that are done so well that they're going to change Rick and how he sees things going forward in this back half, and they're going to eliminate it from feeling contrived at all, whatever his decision really, whichever way he decides to go with this one. The war's not over yet, but even though Michonne at a part wants it to be, even though it can't be when she gets kind of emotional. But wow, man, really, really good episode for The Walking Dead, I think. The saddest episode ever. Final episode for Carl. And, you know, just brilliant, man. Brilliant the way they tied in those sequences earlier, the Red-Eyed Rick and all the other stuff that raised some good questions, and they really, you know, answered them in this episode in expert fashion. So write your comments below. Let me know how you guys felt about the episode. What was your first reaction? Did you cry in the episode? Were you emotional? Were you sad? Or you're like one of those tough guys. You're like, I don't cry, or I'm not into that, right? So let me know how you guys are feeling, and the ladies too as well too. How, I guess in that case, I say how much did you cry, right? Because I'm pretty sure almost unless you're a tough chick or whatever. So that's cool. But let me know what you guys thought, man. There's my first reaction after literally just seeing a minute ago the end of the episode. What a great episode, man! All right, let's do the review. I'll be back in half an hour for you guys and have that review posted soon. So check back soon. And if you're new to the channel, and you haven't subscribed, bottom left to sub to see all my Walking Dead videos until the series ends, which could probably be a few years away at this point. That's it for this one. See you guys again soon for another. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace later, guys. See you soon.